Hi everyone, Amy here from Transform at Amy Burke Yoga, and today I'm going to show you how to make a kale, chickpea, sweet potato, vegan curry dish over brown rice. What you're going to need for today, the ingredients, is you're going to need a pot for your brown rice to cook the brown rice, a stir fry or skillet pan, and the ingredients that we're going to be using today are red onion, coconut oil, sweet potato, minced garlic, minced ginger, or you can buy dried ginger. You can use either a can of diced tomatoes. I didn't have that, so I'm going to use tomato paste. And you're going to need coconut milk. If you don't have that, you can improvise with another kind of milk. We're going to also be using chickpeas. A can of chickpeas is fine, and fresh kale chopped with the stems removed, and we're also going to be serving that over brown rice. For the spices, you will need cumin, turmeric, ground coriander, fenugreek seeds, cayenne pepper, and salt if you want to put a little salt to taste. So starting off, I'm just going to show you, again, in the spice mix, we have, this is my spice mix, good, we have 1 teaspoon of cumin, we have 1 teaspoon of turmeric, we have 1 teaspoon of coriander, and we have a ½ teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. You can do without those if you wanted to, and a ½ teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and a teaspoon or however much salt that you wanted. Good. I'm actually going to take the cayenne pepper and put that, I like a little extra sometimes. We also have about maybe 2 cloves worth of minced garlic. We have a piece of about 3 centimeters of minced ginger, or you can use dry ginger, that's fine too. 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. I'm actually going to add that right to my pan right now. Good. And there. And then we also have about a small red onion diced and chopped up. 1 cup of coconut milk or any kind of milk, oat milk or whatever you'd like to use. A can of chickpeas and 1 medium-sized sweet potato. I've cut them up into little pieces like this. And about 3 cups of chopped up kale, rinsed and done like that. So if you want, you can start the brown rice first. So what you would do is it's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of brown rice. I always rinse all of my rice before I put it in the pan. You would just put that in there. You can add a little salt if you want. Some people add butter, a little bit of butter. While it's cooking, you can do that as well. So you bring it to a boil and then turn it way down to simmer and just cover it and let it go about anywhere between, depending on your heating system, on your if you have gas heat or electric heat, it makes a difference. So maybe between 20 and 30 minutes. Just keep checking it, make sure it doesn't absorb all the water. I always stop my brown rice before it absorbs all of the water, and then I just let it sit. So we're going to get started. I'm going to turn our oven on, and I've got the 1 teaspoon of coconut oil. I suppose you could use any kind of oil. I like coconut oil sometimes. And then what I'm going to do is add the onion, and we're going to cook that for a couple minutes until it gets translucent. So we're just going to keep cooking that. And this dish is really good. Kale is in season right now. It's great for you in the springtime. We've got amazing spices going on as well that are beneficial during this time of year. Garlic and ginger is great this time of year in the springtime. So basically you're just going to cook your onions until they are translucent. Good. So that would be a couple of minutes. Okay, so our onions have been cooking for a couple minutes until they're translucent. Now I'm going to add the sweet potatoes. So adding all of the sweet potatoes and mixing those together. And those will, you know, cook for another 2 minutes or so. If you're short on time, you don't have to wait for them to cook all the way. And then what you're going to do, I'm just going to pretend like it was 2 minutes. It's okay if you add the garlic and the ginger before the 2 minutes is up, so don't worry about that. So here we go with the garlic and ginger. Good, and I'm also going to add the spice blend. So I'm just going to add all of that in there. Really good. Really easy to make. I love easy meals and I love to make big portions of it, so then I can just not worry about cooking every day if I don't want to, although I always find myself cooking every day. Good, so we're just going to stir that all around. Now, sometimes if you feel like things are looking a little bit dry, sometimes my trick, I'm just going to grab it out of my refrigerator here, is to add a little bit of vegetable broth. I love using vegetable broth. I think it just adds flavor and it's not high in fat. So like this has 0 fat in it. It's just a regular brand, whatever you can find. Don't worry, it's not the brand that I'm using. So I like to add a little bit of vegetable broth sometimes. And it helps to really put all the flavors together. So you would cook that for another maybe 30 seconds or so. And then you're going to add, again, you could use a can of diced tomatoes. I don't use a lot of tomatoes in my recipes just because they are a nightshade and they do sometimes create extra inflammation. So I'm just adding a little bit of tomato paste. But I do think that tomatoes and tomato paste makes a really nice flavor to things, so then I would stir that around. Good. And now, so I'm going to just turn my heat up. My heat's on like maybe between low and medium. I don't like it too high. I'm going to add a little bit more cayenne, because I do like, whoops, I made a mess here. I do like a little bit of extra cayenne. I think it's really adds a little zip to things. And again, cayenne is in season. We're in the spring, so cayenne's in season. So it's a good thing to have. So now I'm going to add my coconut milk. Okay. And we're going to cook that. We're going to let all of that simmer. It looks really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit about what it looks like. In just a minute. I'm going to bring the pan right over to you and just show you. This is what it's got to look like. Something similar to that. Good. And so now this is the part where it's just going to go ahead. You're gonna cover it if you can with a cover, and then you're going to just let that come to a low boil. So you want to bring it up, let it come for a low boil, and then add the chickpeas. So once that comes, see if I don't have a cover, but that's okay. I don't have a cover for this pan, but as you can see, like, I don't worry about it. If improvise, be creative, don't worry about it if you don't have every single ingredient. Just use what you have and be creative and add extra things. Sometimes I add the cannelli beans, sometimes I add different types of spices that I'm in the mood for, so that's important to be reminded that, just because it's this recipe, if you don't have all the ingredients, use similar ingredients and just explore and be creative. So this is coming to a boil now. So I'm going to let that boil for a low boil, and then I'm going to add all of the chickpeas. Good, and I'm going to stir that. And now I'm going to let this simmer because the sweet potatoes need to get nice and soft. So about 20 minutes. Okay, so we're back. I did use a little bit of oil on top of mine to cover it. I'm going to lower the heat. So the sweet potatoes, I tested them with a fork, and they're nice and soft and cooked. Not overly soft and mushy, just a good little softness so the fork kind of can go in. So now I'm going to add my kale. And the temp is way down. I'm going to add the kale and stir it in. And again, you don't, if it looks like you got enough kale in there, then go ahead and don't worry about adding all of the kale. You have to judge how much you want. So you're going to stir in the fresh kale and let that cook for just a couple of minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And now, if it looks like you don't have enough liquid, sometimes what I do, and you gotta gauge it because every recipe is a little bit different, is I just add a little extra vegetable broth on top just to kind of steam up the kale. And you're going to go ahead and stir that around, maybe bring it up a little bit on the temp so it stays boiling. And move the kale around and saute that. This is the most delicious vegan meal. Everyone I think is delicious though. Good. And there you have it. I'm going to bring this up and show you what it should look like. This is what it looks like. Then you would just turn the oven off and plate your brown rice, or you can use quinoa too if you don't like brown rice. And you're just going to scoop this right over the top, and then you have an easy meal. And then you can storage this part of it separate from the brown rice, and when you're ready to eat, you can just heat everything up in a bowl, and it's really super easy. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is the recipe for a sweet potato, kale, chickpea curry dish over brown rice. Have a great day.